Hi everyone, it's time to quilt this gorgeous quilt I've been working on. It's a scrappy 9 patch with the snowball block, although the snowball is not stitched in, so we can pop our finger in there, so something different that I've been experimenting with. I want to show you in this video that you can quilt your own quilts on your domestic machine. So if you don't have the funds to get it professionally quilted, or you feel the pressure to do free motion quilting, I'm going to show you can make gorgeous quilts with straight lines. Your walking foot, you do need a walking foot, that is your best friend, and your domestic machine at home. I want to just make quilting accessible for everyone so that we can all give it a go and be proud of what we've done. I think that straight line stitching with your domestic machine looks so professional, it's easy to do, and it gets your quilt finished, which is the main thing, so you can get to the binding and pop it on your bed or your couch, wherever your project is going. So I will be showing you a few things. I'm going to show you straight line stitching from edge to edge first, okay, which is great because then your start and your stop, you can be off the quilt and it's not part of your end product. The other thing is I'm going to be doing some quilting that starts and stops within the quilt. So I'm going to be echoing these octagons here. So I'll show you how to do that. And I'm also going to just show you the walking foot and give you some tips about using that. Is that all I'm going to do? I think so. If you want to see how I put this quilt top together, there is a whole playlist so you can go back and watch me put together the 9 patch, how I came up with this folded star point idea. I also had a video where I was really umming and ahhing about whether to make these separate stars or connected stars. As you can see, I've gone with the connected stars, so it's more of a lattice style. I've really enjoyed making this quilt so much that I'm not actually ready to stop with this pattern, so to speak. I do want to make one that's separate stars next time. So to that end, I have bought and printed out this pattern by Layla Gardunia. I hope I said her name right. And I will leave this pattern linked below if you would like to make the quilt with me. So it's very similar to this one. It's stitched in snowballs and the stars are separated, not connected. So it will look like, as you can see on the picture here, look like separate stars. I want to make another one and you're welcome to join me and make one as well. We need to make a decision on the thread, because I realized here's my light blue variegated, which would have been perfect, is all run out. So I thought there were 2 options. I could either walk over to my mum's house, because she is a few blocks that way and she has baskets full of thread. She is in France at the moment, but I have the key to her house. So I could have done that. But I also have some variegated light purple, and dark blue. So I thought I'd just have a look and see how they go and maybe just use one of these, because I want to get started. And if I go for a walk, it is actually raining as well. I'm just looking out the window. So I think let's just try and use one of these. So I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to show you what these threads look like on the top and also the back. The back is a light blue fabric. It was a sheet that I found at an op shop, secondhand. And my last video, I talked all about alternate quilt backs, including using sheets. And you guys, that video went off. As of filming, it's like nearly 100,000 views and hundreds of comments. That blew my mind. Thank you all so much for watching. If you've returned, welcome. If you want to know more about quilt backs, either secondhand sheets or pieced, you can go back and look at that video. I'll link that one below as well. I'm just going to quickly interrupt and let you know that my next newsletter is going to be all about this quilt. In my last video, I showed this quilt and the back of this quilt. It has fabric that I bought in Vietnam on the same trip that I met a boy that became my husband. It is 20 years old, this quilt. So my next newsletter is going to be all about the story behind the quilt, the fabrics of this quilt, the pattern of the quilt and the measurements. So if you would like to read more about that and learn about this quilt, I'll leave the link to my newsletter below. All right, back to the video. I did ask in the previous video for suggestions on how to quilt this, and what I think I'm going to do, and many people came up with this idea, is do a one straight line going diagonal through my 9 patches this way and that way. And then, so that will be edge to edge quilting, and then I'm going to do a echo of these octagon pieces with my snowballs. I will get a white thread for that on the top. So let's start with these. So I've got my light purple thread here. It will also go through these blue on the side. I've got dark purple. And the dark blue. I have a feeling this dark blue is going to be too dark, maybe. Oh, yeah, I'm not liking the dark blue. I also have to see what it looks like on the back. So I've got the dark purple versus the light purple, which I think the light purple on the back looks better. And just the dark purple. I could do... No, because there's light and there's dark. You know, I'm going to do the light purple, I think. So I'll pop that one away. I'll do light purple top and bottom for my straight line stitching. So let's get the machine set up for that. That reminds me, I think I need to book in my optometrist appointment. So I think I'm in need of glasses now. I'm getting old. Okay, here we go. I am on school holidays, so I really need to do that this week while I can. I'll fill the bobbin up because I've got a lot to do. I also have a book that I want to read this holidays, and I think that will be easier with glasses. It's called The Jam Maker, set in Tasmania. My mum recommended it to me, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, before I thread that, we need the new foot, the walking foot. So let's take that one off. So this is what my walking foot looks like, an attachment for the sewing machine, and it does this action. It moves. So I'll show you it in action. So I just unscrew. I'll need to take off this attachment. Don't need that. Pop it in. Now what is different about this foot is that you don't just pop it in like that and that's it. What you need to do is this part here of the machine needs to lever in and underneath it. So I think I lift the foot all the way up, push that down, and then, so now it's connected not only to this shank here at the top, but also at the back. So I will thread it and I'll show you what the walking foot does. And also just to test, always test before you sew your project. So as usual, holding onto the thread down and up to pull up that bobbin thread. Okay, I'm just going to put that behind. With a regular foot, the feed dogs push the fabric along, and that is enough for when you're just stitching two layers together. When you are stitching the 3 layers and they might be different, you want the walking foot, because not only does the feed dogs push the bottom of the quilt along, but the actual foot pushes the top of your quilt along, so that both layers are going through the machine at the same pace, and that keeps your 3 layers together in the one spot, and there's no movement and warping. So that's the purpose of a walking foot over a regular foot. And as you can see, that metal part in the middle, I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera, it is moving up and down and dragging the top layer of fabric along. So then you get this beautiful straight line, very even stitches, and perfect on the back. So that's ready to go. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to be quilting straight lines through my 9 patch. I didn't put my pins in the right spot for that. Never mind, I'll remove them. If you're a pretty new quilter and you're worried about getting straight lines, you can use a masking tape to simply place where you want it to stitch. So I'm just popping it on the quilt, just leaving enough room to do that stitch line to the corners. Because I'm going through the center first and on a diagonal, I have this bit of fabric here. I just need to roll this up so it will fit under the throat of my machine. Just like that, easy. Pull it down onto my lap. And I start off the quilt, and I'll be moving onto the quilt. Needle down, 2.6 thread, I've tested, ready to go. So shoulders relaxed, feeling comfortable. If you have gloves, you can use gloves. Mine perish and I haven't got new ones, but that's okay because we're not doing free motion. It's not like when I was doing free motion, I'd be like, but this is much easier. The walking foot will do the work for you and the pushing and pulling. So you just need to guide in the right direction. Easy peasy. Lovely. How relaxing is this, you guys? This is why I love quilting in this way. Have a check. Oh, glorious. Looks good. Looks professional. Looks neat. Look at the back. Gorgeous. That variegated thread looks really cool. It goes from light to dark purple. Okay, so you can simply take off this masking tape and reuse it for your next line if you want. Okay. Oh, sticky, sticky, sticky. Where'd it go? Yeah, I'm really happy with that. That's going to look great as a crisscross through those 9 patch. I've now finished all the straight lines and I had been working on these side blue patches. So As you can see, when I do the crossover, you end up with a blue square that doesn't have any stitching in it. So what I've been doing is this. Here's an example. This one's a bit crooked. Let me show you this one. So I've just also been doing a line up to just before the flap, across and down that way, because I loved how that was a cross and I wanted to make sure I had a cross here in these ones as well. So I just have one row of those to do, here and here. So I used a little bit of tape to go from that corner to this corner. So first I'm going to stitch down there and stop right before I get to that triangle. So needle down, foot up. Sorry if I knock the camera, to turn. Okay, then I just take that tape up and place it the other way from corner to corner. So I didn't put masking tape down this straight edge. I'm just basically eyeballing and making sure I keep the same distance away from that seam line. Needle down and turn. Okay, so all the edge-to-edge quilting is complete and the outside blocks are also complete. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it. Let me show you the back. It's lovely grid. Gorgeous. I'm really happy with that. I like the edges. See? Can you see that? So now the centers, the octagons. But first I will need to find a white thread to do my top stitch, and I'm going to keep the variegated purple on the bobbin. So I'll need to test to make sure that you can't see the purple from the top. So let me do that and then we'll do that octagon stitching. Okay, I've threaded the machine and I've tested the stitch and I cannot see any of the variegated purple coming up to the top, nor any of the white on the bottom, so that will work well. I'm going to go around anti-clockwise, so I'm going to start on this side. So I do hold this thread, get a few inches there, have the machine, the foot where you'd like it. I'm going to, it's not going to be a 1/4 inch, it's going to be whatever the distance is between my needle and the edge of this foot, just so that I can line that up. Let's have a look at actually how long that is. From the needle, looks like about 1/2 inch, which will be fine. So my machine has a button to put the needle down. I've got the foot up at the minute. but you can use your wheel on the side if you need to. So needle down, needle back up. And I'm going to tug on that thread to pull the bottom thread up. Okay, we don't want that tangling underneath because that looks a bit messy. So I'm going to have both the threads at the top. Then try not to move the fabric underneath the foot because you're going to go straight down and ideally get the same hole. I'm going to put those threads underneath my foot, lower my foot. And then I begin. So I need to stop about a ½ inch away from this edge. So it's eyeballing it, guys. So that will do. And then turn. So needle down always when you're turning. And foot up and then foot back down. So I estimated that correctly because now the edge of my foot is against the edge of that seam. Start stitching again. Again, eyeballing where I think I need to stop. Needle down, foot up, turn. Okay, this is where we start getting a bit of fabric underneath the throat of our machine. All right, I was a little bit closer that time than I needed to be. One stitch too close probably, but that will do. You can pull this all the way through so you have not so much under there. I always try and have this as flat as I can. I lined that up well, going straight, moving forward and stopping where I think I've got ½ inch again. Turning. So this shape we've got the 8 sides going on, so 8 different moves. See the end in sight. It's looking lovely and neat so far. I can't see any of the purple. Okay, now for the last side, we do want to line up with our seam lines. So this one is important that we are lined up so we can match to the start and the beginning. So I'm going to go over by probably 1 extra stitch and I'm going to go backwards 1 stitch just to lock it in place. I'm not going to use my automatic cutter. I'm going to put my needle up, lift my foot and actually drag and cut the top and bottom threads. Now I tug this back under there. You could just snip off this thread if you wish. Remember, the whole point of stitching at home is that we make it accessible for everyone. If you want to just cut your stitches off there, you can. There are a few different options. You can cut them. You can tug at this one and pull the bottom. This is what I'm trying to do. It will work. Okay. So I'm not cutting it. I've got they look like scissors, but I'm not cutting it. I'm pulling it up. Okay, so what I was doing was holding on to one thread, giving it a tug and pulling up the bottom thread. So that's the top and bottom from the end of my quilting. That was the top and the bottom from the start of the quilting. And what we're going to do is line up 2 threads that are coming through the same hole and put one little knot. It's just to secure, and you can do the same on this one. So that is one way to secure. You can just cut those off now. But the purists won't be happy with that. What you can also do is thread those 4 pieces of thread. You can thread them on a needle and then bury your thread. So put the needle into the machine, into the quilt along the batting and out, and cut it off elsewhere. That is called burying the threads, and a quilt purist would say that's the only way, but I don't believe that you have to do that if you don't want to. You can just cut them off, overlap it by a little bit and cut them off. Will be fine, or tie them in a knot like I've done and cut them off. Remember, we want to make quilting easy and enjoyable, and we don't need to follow all the exact rules if we don't want to, because it's our quilt. So I've got a lot of those to do, so that might take me the rest of the afternoon. So I'll see you when it's all done. The quilting is all complete on this now, and I'm really, really happy with it. Gorgeous. I'll turn it over because you'll be able to see the pattern better on the back. But basically we've got our grid going through, and then we've got our hexagons. No, we've got our octagons. So on the back, doesn't that look great? Looks really it's sophisticated, I think, with the diamonds and then the octagons on the inside of them. I just love that. And I also love the outside where we've got the crosses and the extra crosses here. The fabric is really super soft on the back because it was a tencel fabric, not a quilting cotton. It was a sheet. And it's already got that worn feel, and it's very soft. And I like how there's no puckers, but it's still not perfectly straight and stiff. I actually love that look. It looks really cozy, really happy with it. It's not a bed quilt, it's just for the couch. So that's all finished and quilted. So my plans moving forward, I know some of you are already waiting for me to finish this and to move on to another one, because we are going to make this quilt again, but separated stars. So the link to the pattern is below if you'd like to join me and make that. I want to thank everybody again for joining me and subscribing. A lot of new subscribers from the last video, so you are so welcome, and thank you very much for your comments. Please keep commenting. I love reading them and I love replying to you all, and we'll see you next video. Goodbye.